Thank you, Pastor and Dr. Willie Westone. We give you a round of applause for your faithfulness. And God morning and God morning to all of my brothers and sisters and to all of my sons and daughters. I cannot get started without letting you know that I am honored and humbled to be in your presence, whether it is physical or ethereal. Just knowing that you are there, it just gives me a wonderful, warm feeling because I know the divinity of your true identity. Ooh, it just blesses me so much. Let's go to the word this morning from the book of Matthew, chapter 14. I'm going to read verses 24 through 27. It says, "But the ship was now in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves, because the wind was contrary. And in the fourth of the night," now understand, the fourth watch, according to the Romans, who divided their nights into four parts of 3 hours each, as opposed to the Jews who divided their nights into three parts with 4 hours each. Either way, the fourth or the third, either going by the Romans or by the Jews, it was a long time. The night was well spent. It was the last watch of the night that Jesus came walking unto them on the water. Verse 26, "And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled because they assumed it is a spirit." Now, that's what the King James Version said. But when you look at the Greek, it says phantasma, which in Greek means phantom. And in those days, it was well agreed upon by all fishermen and seafarers that if you were in a storm and you saw a phantom, then that was impending death, certain death. And so that's why they were so troubled, saying, "It is a phantom," because the phantom was the forerunner of death. And they cried out because they were in great fear. Verse 27 says, "But right away, Jesus spoke to them, saying, number one, be of good cheer. Number two, realize that it's me. It's me. And number three, do not be afraid." I want to talk to you and with you for a little while this morning about the backwards, we can call this the backwards trilogy, or the out of order orders. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes God does things backwards, and if you're going to be in harmony and in obedience to God, you too are going to have to do some things backwards, and sometimes you will have to be out of what is considered normal order. If you have any doubt that I'm just joshing when I say God does things backwards, just look at the way God does things from the way man does things. With man, who's first? It's always ladies first. And Pastor Hero, if you would mute everyone, I would be very appreciative. But with God, it wasn't ladies first, it was man first. in the birthing process with man, man comes out of woman. But with God, is this backwards? God brought woman out of man. And just look at the way God does life. God doesn't mind for us to rise and to go up, but God has a backwards way for us to get up there. God's word says that if you exalt yourself, you will be brought down. But if you humble yourself, then you will be lifted up. God does not mind us being up front now, out there being first, but God has a strange or backwards route for us to get there. As a matter of fact, it's written in Matthew 20:16. So the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Listen, even God's days are backwards from man's days. Man's days, like this morning, this is the start of our day. And this time tonight, it'll be the end of our day. But God's days are backwards. According to the Bible, God's days start in the evening and they end at night. Now, if you have a moment when this is over, check out Genesis. The first chapter will tell you when it's giving you each day of creation, it says, and the evening and the morning was the first day. The evening and the morning was the second day. Even Isaiah, the scripture we love to quote so much, Isaiah 40:31. It tells us to do, it says God's ways is backwards. It says, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall what? First of all, fly. That's what you do when you mount up on wings like an eagle. And then you slow down and say you will run and not be weary. And then you will walk and not faint. Now, if that, I'm going to leave you all alone. If you don't believe that that's backwards, you don't start out flying. You start out walking. Then you pick up speed. You start out running. Then you graduate to running. Then you start flying. So I was not really surprised when I analyzed this text and saw this backwards duo or trilogy principle that was initiated by Jesus. Jesus used this backwards principle in order to charge, challenge, and change his disciples. Because he knew that the present state of consciousness they were in was going to be difficult for them to ever see dry land again. Listen to the first thing Jesus challenged them to do. He said, first of all, y'all be of good cheer. Jesus knew that what the best thing that anyone can do for themselves when they are faced with the worst, he knew what it was. He knew what the best thing to do was. He knew that the best thing to do when faced with the worst is to go and do what is your best. The worst thing is to be gripped with fear. No matter who you are, if you're a lawyer, if you're a doctor, if you're a preacher, if you're a teacher, if you're a cab driver, it doesn't matter. The worst thing that you can do is to become gripped in the throes of fear. I don't want a doctor operating on me or looking at or doing it if you're afraid, because I know the devastating results of one mind that is gripped with fear. Because when you are gripped with great fear, the best thing to do is be of good cheer. This is the reason why some people are alcoholics today, because they were afraid and they said, I need a drink. And that's why when they pass out the drinks, what do they say? Cheers. They even had a sitcom on TV about a bar, and the sitcom was called Cheers. And that's what people do. To get rid of fear and troubles, they drink. But Jesus said, be of good cheer. That's not good cheer. Using drugs, I don't get stuck here, but that's not good cheer. All cheer is not good. Jesus was specific. He said, do something that is positive. Don't do anything that is negative to get rid of fear. The best way to get rid of fear is be of good cheer. You see, Jesus knew that when you do things righteously backwards or righteously out of order, God will bless you. Don't ever forget what I'm about to say. If you do things that are out of order, but you are righteous in doing it, God will bless you to see things clearly under unfavorable conditions for seeing things clearly. I know something about my God. My God works best with and works best for those who operate righteously out of the norm. Go to Joel chapter 3, verse 10. The people of Joel's township were facing a battle, and they were lamenting their meager and emaciated and anemic conditions. They were saying, we're going to be crushed. We're going to be annihilated because we are so weak. Those adversaries, they are big, strong people. God spoke to Joel and said, you tell the people to shut. I started to say the hell up, but I know I'm not at Life Center, so I can't say. But because that's coming from hell. Shut that hell up. He said, you tell the people, let the weak now say. He didn't say wait till they get strong. He said while they are strong. See, that's what's called righteous out of order. It's not in order for you to say you're strong and you're weak, but you can be righteous if you raise your consciousness. He said to Joel, tell the people to start affirming, let the weak now say, I am strong. Those of us who pastor people who are not wealthy, stop telling them that they are poor. We don't pastor poor people. I got in trouble with the community, and when the media put out that I said, I don't want any poor people as members of our church. I said, don't drive any raggedy cars and park it on my parking lot. I told them that. I was working with consciousness. I didn't say I didn't want poor people to come to church. I don't want you coming to church thinking that you are poor. I'm in the book. I sound out of the box, but I'm in the book. I didn't say you had to have a new car. They put it in the paper. T.L. Barrett said, don't drive unless you got a new car. I didn't say that. I said, if you got a raggedy car, fix it up put $1 a week away. Stop going to the movies. Instead of buying an Xbox, buy a new muffler. Don't come up disturbing our service with a rattle, rattle, thunder, clatter, boom, boom, boom. No. Okay, let me go on with my message. I hope y'all are getting what I'm saying. Joel told those people, stop saying you are weak and say what God said you are. Say you're strong. And that's how they prevail. This is what unlocks the door to all kinds of miracles that seem impossible. Jesus wanted them all to see what Peter saw. You remember when Jesus said, be of good cheer? Peter started thinking. See, there's something about being married that is really invaluable. And I counseled when I was pastoring and I would have premarital counseling. I would tell the married people about how important it is for you to think. Do you think that this person is the right one for you? I'd ask the man, do you think she's the right one? He said, yeah, I think so. I asked her, do you think he's the right one? She said, yeah, I think so. I said, wrong answer. That's not the real question. The real question is, do you think you are the right person for this person you're saying? Peter started thinking about things that made him cheerful. Because you do know now that Peter was the only disciple who was married. There's something about marriage that's very, very powerful. Maybe he started thinking about when Jesus said, be of good cheer. Think of something that'll make you happy. Peter said, I will risk it for my wife's biscuit. I'd be a thug to get her hug. I mean, he just started thinking about how she would be so happy to welcome him home. But whatever caused Peter to be of good cheer enabled Peter to see what those other disciples could not see. Peter actually saw himself doing what he saw Jesus doing. And Jesus even said, I use this principle. He said, whatever I see the Father doing, that's what I attempt to do. Peter said to Jesus, Lord, you say it's you. And they're saying it's a phantom. They're saying it's a spirit, but you are saying it's you. And I would rather believe what you say than what they say. And oh, my brothers and sisters, if I had time, I'd do a whole sermon now on believing, choosing to believe what God says than what they say. Oh, I could tell you some stories that would shake your boots if I had time to tell you about the decisions that I made to believe what God said than what they said. Peter made the decision. He said, I believe you say it's you. Hard to see with all of this mist and all of these waves dashing and breakers dashing. He said, but I choose to believe that it's you. And since it is you, invite me to take part in the miracle that I see that's happening right near me. And I challenge you, even if I don't get to the rest of my sermon, I challenge every believer to have faith in the fact that there is a miracle taking place right now. Don't listen. And if you do, don't give energy to these sermons that you hear where preachers talking about there's trouble everywhere. There's sickness all around. There's distress all around. Don't listen, because there's more peace than there is trouble. There are miracles happening right now near you. But you cannot do that unless you can see what Peter saw while he was in the midst. See, you got to do this while you don't wait till your battle is over. Believe now. The storm may be raging. So what if it's raging? Peter saw Jesus, the Son of God. Here's another good point. He did not see Jesus, the son of Mary and Joseph. He had never seen Jesus, the son of Mary and the son of Joseph, walk on water. He had seen Jesus, the son of Mary and the son of Joseph, perhaps make a table, or because he was a carpenter, or hang a door, but he had never seen the son of Mary and Joseph walk on water. He said, now, what he's doing now, that's the Son of God right there. Hey, y'all see that right there? Y'all think that's Jesus from Nazareth? No, that's Jesus from heaven. And at some point in the believer's walk with God, they're going to have to see, I'm going to put it on out, you're going to have to see, and it's up to us, those of you who are pastors, you're going to have to let your people see their pastors as the sons and the daughters of God. You may have to walk through your storm as a son or daughter of God. When my marriage failed, the people had to see me walking, not as T.L. Barrett. That was for me in private. She called that was for me to see. It wasn't for them to see. For them to see when my daughter was taken by a murderous bullet. They couldn't see T.L., the son and daughter of Eddie Mae and T.L. Sr. They had to see me as the son of God. And I challenge you, pastors who are listening to me, to realize we are not exempt. I look for my exemption papers. I called Reverend Weston. He couldn't help me find them. I called Pastor Hero. I called my son, Bishop Tavis Grant, and so many. I called Dr. Pritchett. None of them could help me find my exemption papers. As a matter of fact, they couldn't find theirs either. We are not exempt from storms and trials, but we have to let the people see us walking through our storms like the sons and daughters of God. Peter saw God in the midst of a raging storm. And I'm telling you now, you can teach your people that they can see heaven while going through hell. Yes, you can experience joy in the midst of sorrow, but you got to be of good cheer. I write 10 and 12, 15 thoughts for the day every day, and I send one of them out. And some of you are on my Thought for the Day ministry. And I wrote one the other day that says, things will clear up when you decide to cheer up. Too many people wait for things to clear up before they cheer up. Remember, Jesus was cheer challenging and cheer charging those who were gripped with fear. He was challenging them to be of good cheer. Now notice and then I'll be done. Notice the strategic construction of this challenging, instructive trilogy. The first challenge does not address their condition. Their condition was fear. And by Jesus being the miracle-minded master that he knew he was, he knew that they really did not have to be afraid, because he knew that because he was near, they had nothing to fear. Yet he challenged them to have no fear, but to be of good cheer. You see, Jesus knew that it was not true that God can do anything but fail. That's not true. Jesus knew that the power of God cannot override the constitutional consciousness of the individual. That's why the scripture is telling you that according to your faith shall it be unto you. This is why Isaiah said in Isaiah 26:3, which is our scripture number 46. I put our church on 100 scripture diet that they must commit to memory. And it says, thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose minds are not gripped with fear, but fixated on you. That's why I don't allow talk about the devil in our church. There's only one power, according to Romans 12:12, only one power in our lives that we want festering on our mind. As a matter of fact, James 4:7 or 7:4 says, if you resist the devil, he flees from you. So if he's fleeing away, why bring him back by calling attention? Anyway, Isaiah said, thou will keep him in perfect peace of mind and stayed on you. Fear speaks loudly to your subconscious mind that God is not here. That's what fear tells you. Nor is God near. And that causes your innate faith factor to become dysfunctional. This is why Jesus challenged them, be of good cheer. Then he challenged them to believe that he was with them no matter what. No matter what or who they thought were against them, he said, I'm here. It is he. You know that Rose of Sharon? It's right here. Your lily of the valley, it's right here. Your bright morning star, the horse born in the back, it's here. Your grandmama's rock in a weary, it's here. The water when you it's here. That's what he was saying. He said, lastly, don't be afraid. You'll find it easier to be not afraid if you be of good cheer. I close with this, and Reverend Hero, I hope you won't take my second Wednesday preaching period away. I know I went a little long, but I want to close out with this testimony. In 1976, I was in Mary Thompson Hospital because I had just been on the radio for a couple of years, and the headphones aggravated a lump that had been behind my ear for 10, 15 years. But it aggravated it. It became painful. And anyway, to make a long story short, my doctor, Dr. Early Butler, put me in the hospital. They did a biopsy. He came to me. He had thick glasses, which magnified his eyes. And I could see tears in his eyes as he gave to me the unfavorable news as a result. And he asked me, what do you want me to tell your wife? I said, I want you to tell my wife that T.L. Barrett is all right. And tell her to tell the church. I was a new pastor then. I'd only been pastoring about 7, 8 years. I said, tell them that I'm fine. And tell her I want some flannel pajamas with matching slippers. And he looked at me. I said, well, he said, Pastor, I'm a doctor, and I cannot lie. I said, I didn't ask you to lie. You asked me, what do I want you to tell my wife? So I'm telling you what I want you to tell my wife. And you didn't ask me nothing about should you tell my wife what you told me. You didn't ask me that. You asked me what do I want to, and he said, okay, I understand. And he did exactly what I said. The rest is history. You do the math. How long ago was 76. This is 2024. I preached his funeral at Rockefeller Chapel in Hyde Park. You have to know that God is there. No matter what the doctors or anybody else says, know that God is with you. And prove it by being of good cheer. Somewhere those phantom pajamas are still around here somewhere. That was my way of being of good cheer. Don't just give me some regular, I want some flannel, the ones that keep you warm. Give me some matching slippers. I want a sport. This is T.L. Barrett, now known as St. Thomas in my church, because I'm no longer the pastor. But this is my offering to you today. Thank you for letting me share with you. Pardon me if I kept you a little too long. And please continue to support the ACLC. Pastor Hero will remind you how to do it. And then I hope many of you will be with me tonight as I speak to the Royal Family of Holiness every Wednesday night. We have a toll-free and code-free conference line. All you have to do is dial 339-207-6664. And that's it. You'll be right in. We start at 6:45 with my chit before the chat. Thank you again for letting me share with you. And remember, be of good cheer.